Hello everyone. Welcome to Dr. J. Jaishankar's lecture series in Commerce, episode 6. The topic for today's discussion is essentials of a contract. Everyone should have basic knowledge of law, and of course knowledge of contracts is also important. It is all the more important for those pursuing career in commerce. The rules relating to contracts are contained in the Indian Contract Act of 1872. What is actually a contract? It is an agreement enforceable by law. And what is an agreement? Every promise and every set of promises forming the consideration for each other is what is known as an agreement. So, if A agrees to sell his house to B for rupees 1 crore and B agrees to pay the price, here B's promise to pay the price is the consideration for A's promise to sell the house. So here we have a valid contract. Not all agreements become contracts. For an agreement to become a contract, it is important that the obligation arising out of it must be a legal obligation and not a personal or a social obligation. I will give you an example. Suppose A promises to attend B's birthday party, but something happens and A is unable to fulfill his promise, attend the birthday party. Here, B cannot take legal action against A. He cannot sue A in the court of law for not attending the birthday party because the obligation here is not a legal obligation, it is only a social obligation. Contracts are classified into various types. One classification is on the basis of validity. Under this category, you have what is called a void agreement first. What is a void agreement? An agreement which is not enforceable in a court of law is a void agreement. It is void ab initio. Ab initio is a Latin phrase and it means from the very beginning. An agreement which is not enforceable in a court of law is a void agreement. For example, an agreement with a minor, a person who is below 18 years of age. Suppose A lends rupees 5,000 to B, who is just 15 years of age. He is a minor. B does not return the money to A. A has no legal remedy here. An agreement with a person of unsound mind also is a void agreement. An agreement without consideration is also void. What is consideration? Quid pro quo, Latin phrase, something in return. Both the parties to the contract must be benefited out of the contract. If A agrees to sell his cycle to B for rupees 2,000, here both A and B are benefited out of the contract. So any agreement without consideration is only a void agreement. Next we have what is called a void contract. How can a contract be void? We have already seen a contract is an agreement enforceable by law. And how can a contract become a void contract? A valid contract, how can it become a void contract? This happens mainly because the circumstances that prevailed when the contract was made and the circumstances that prevail when the contract is going to be executed do not remain the same. For example, if A agrees to buy B's motorcycle for rupees 50,000, if before the contract is performed, a fire accident occurs at B's house and the motorcycle is completely burnt, how can the contract be performed now? So the contract between A and B was a valid contract when it was made, but now it has become void. And under law, if any party has received any benefit on a void contract, then he has to restore the benefit to the party who has given it. So in the example that we just saw, if A has already given the payment for the motorcycle to B, B has to return the money. This is what is called restitution in law. Then thirdly, we have what is called a voidable contract. What is a voidable contract? See, in contract, the consent of the parties must come freely. It cannot be forcibly obtained. Section 14 of the Indian Contract Act talks about free consent, and it says consent is free when it is not caused by coercion, undue influence, fraud, misrepresentation, or mistake. What is coercion? Section 15 says coercion is the committing or threatening to commit any act forbidden by the Indian Penal Code, or the unlawful detaining or threatening to detain any property to the prejudice of any person, whatever, with the intention of causing any person to enter into an agreement. This is how coercion is defined. In simple terms, we can say coercion means threatening someone. Suppose A at the pistol point threatens to kill B if B does not sell his house worth rupees 1 crore for just 50 lakhs. Here, the consent of B is obtained by using force. So what is the remedy available to B? B has to show evidence in the court that force has been used to obtain his consent. So if he is able to prove, the burden of proof is only on the affected party, that is the plaintiff. So if he is able to prove it, then the court will order setting aside of the contract and the property will be restored to the owner. Similarly, undue influence. Section 16 talks about undue influence. A contract is said to be induced by undue influence where the relations between the parties are such that one of the parties is in a position to dominate the will of the other and uses that position to obtain an unfair advantage over the other. See, in certain contracts, one party may be in a superior position and another party in an inferior position, especially in a contract involving a doctor and his patient, a lawyer and his client. So there is always scope for undue influence. So if the patient is able to prove with evidence in the court that the doctor has made an unfair advantage of his position and has been exploiting him by charging exorbitant fee and all that, definitely he will get relief. That is about a voidable contract. Then the fourth one is an unlawful agreement. What is an unlawful agreement? An unlawful agreement is one which is done in violation of the provisions of law. For example, an agreement in restraint of marriage or an agreement in restraint of trade. All these are agreements which are unlawful. Suppose A agrees with B that A's son will only marry B's daughter. Such an agreement is unlawful because it is an agreement in restraint of marriage. So the father doesn't have the right to compel his son to marry or not to marry a particular girl. Marriage agreements have to be free. Similarly, agreement in restraint of trade. A cannot tell B that his son C will only work in B's firm because it is an agreement in restraint of trade or profession. Then next we have an illegal agreement. What is an illegal agreement? An agreement is illegal if the object of the agreement is opposed to public policy, it is criminal in nature or immoral. Bribing somebody for the sake of getting some favor is an illegal agreement. A employs B to kill C and agrees to compensate B. This is an illegal agreement. A lets out his house to a prostitute and she promises to pay him a big amount as rent every month. Such an agreement is immoral and illegal. Okay, next we have what is called an unenforceable contract. A contract becomes unenforceable due to technical defects. So if the contract is in writing and let us say one of the parties has not given his signature, or there is deficiency of stamp duty, or there is no witness to the contract, in all these cases you will find that there are technical defects, and this may also be a reason as to why a contract becomes unenforceable. The second classification of contracts is on the basis of formation. Under this category you have express contract, implied contract and quasi contract. What is an express contract? When a contract is made verbally or in writing, it is an express contract. Implied contract has to be understood from the circumstances of the case. It should be inferred from the circumstances of the case. For example, when you get into the bus, it is implied that you will buy the ticket. And what is a quasi contract? It is something peculiar. A contract is usually entered into between parties, but a quasi contract is created and enforced by law. It is based on the rule that a person shall not be allowed to enrich himself unjustly at the cost of another. I shall give you a couple of examples. Suppose your neighbor pays your electricity bill when you are not in station to avoid disconnection. Once you come back, you have a duty to return the money to him. This is what is called a quasi obligation, a quasi contract. Another example, a merchant by mistake delivers certain goods to your house instead of delivering it to your neighbor, and you have taken possession of the goods and you have also started consuming it. Here you have an obligation to pay for the goods, and this is what is known as a quasi contract. The third classification of contract is on the basis of performance. Under this category you have executed contract, executory contract, partly executed contract. What is an executed contract? An executed contract is one in which both the parties have fulfilled their obligations. A agrees to make a table for B and B agrees to pay for it. He agrees to pay rupees 10,000, let us suppose. Now A has finished making the table and B now pays the money to A. Here both the parties have performed their obligations, so the contract becomes executed. What is an executory contract? In the case of an executory contract, the obligations of both the parties are outstanding, due. For example, A agrees with B to buy B's motorcycle for rupees 50,000. After a week, and A agrees to pay for the motorbike after 10 days. So B, as per the contract, has to give delivery of the bike within a week, and A will pay for it only after 10 days. So in this contract you will find that the obligations of both the parties are outstanding, due. Although the contract has been made, it is an executory contract. Then the third one is a partly executed contract. So in a partly executed contract, one party has already fulfilled his obligation. It is only the obligation of the other party which is outstanding. For example, you buy certain goods on credit. You have already taken delivery, taken possession of the goods, but you have not paid the price. Maybe you will pay after a week or so. So this is what is called a partly executed contract. So we have finished discussing the basic classifications of contracts. What exactly are the essentials of a contract? Section 10 of the Indian Contract Act says all agreements are contracts if they are made by the free consent of parties competent to contract for a lawful consideration and with a lawful object and are not hereby expressly declared to be void. This is what is section 10 of the Indian Contract Act of 1872. So it says all agreements are contracts if they are made by the free consent of parties. That is, no coercion, no undue influence. Competent to contract. That is, if one of the parties is a minor, there is no agreement. Or one of the parties is a person of unsound mind, there is no agreement. Competent to contract for a lawful consideration, quid pro quo, and with a lawful object. So, an agreement by which A will employ B to kill C, or an agreement to let out a house to a prostitute. In all these cases, the object of the agreement is not lawful, it is illegal. Lawful object and are not hereby expressly declared to be void. So, an agreement in restraint of trade is against legal provisions. An agreement in restraint of marriage is unlawful. So, I think we have finished discussing in the available time the essentials of a valid contract. I am sure you would have found the discussion quite interesting and quite useful. Please share your feedback. We will meet again. Until such time, this is Dr. J. Jaishankar signing off.